You're an aged care recruitment expert and host of the Pioneers in Aged Care podcast. I'm the guy who's bringing sexy back to aged care through storytelling while simultaneously recruiting high-level clinical personnel and executives into the sector. So if you're open to opportunities in aged care, all you have to do is connect with me on LinkedIn or send your CV to anthony@acrex.com.au. Next, we have Robert Covino, founder and CEO of Mirrors Australia. He led the creation of technologies like Mirrors Metrics and Care Minute Manager, and now Mirrors Plus, an AI-powered platform uniting software and data to streamline everything from admissions to compliance. The magic doesn't stop there. They do have a whole suite of offerings to unveil soon. I've peeked behind the curtains, and it's pretty interesting. So this is what they're doing as they move towards a never-ending goal to make aged care better. And rounding out our hosting crew is Owen Matheson, Strategic Growth Advisor and Connector at Mission Critical and founder of Aligned Equity. He's the matchmaker behind Mirrors Plus and works across Mirrors and Dayspring Care to bring together the right people, strategy and partnerships to unlock real growth in aged care. He's also co-founder of Steward, a community connection platform focused on helping people connect, belong and improve their well-being, all in on the mission to #make aged care better. And our special guest for today was the former CEO of Presbyterian Aged Care before he moved into the CEO role with Aged and Community Services Australia. He then had a short stint as the interim CEO of ACPA, now known as Aging Australia, before launching his own consultancy. He also co-launched Inbox, a new voice for the support at home sector, and currently serves as the independent chair of Meals on Wheels Australia and chair of Meaningful Aging Australia. He is a fellow of the Australian Association of Gerontology, bringing invaluable depth of knowledge across policy, business, and on-the-ground care. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again, Paul Sadler.
We're raising the roof for Paul Sadler. Long-term friend of the show. Welcome back, Paul. It's been a little while.
It has been, but great to be back with you guys on a Friday afternoon.
And you've got a little bit going on in your world right now, Paul.
Well, just a little bit, yes. We've got the Inbox Support at Home conference next week. The CHSP Alliance is just about on Monday to release 3 new position statements. And more generally, I keep getting contacted by the media to talk about the impacts of the fuel crisis on Meals on Wheels.
Yes, I've noticed that. And you're recruiting electric vehicle drivers, I believe. And how's that going?
We have put out a call for people who might not normally be volunteering with us to put themselves forward. I'm not sure how many people have actually volunteered since we put that call out about a fortnight ago, but hopefully many people have. I did notice a LinkedIn post this morning from Scott Lynch saying he had decided to volunteer for Meals on Wheels. So he did his first run for So well done to Scott Lynch from Community Therapy on the Central Coast.
What a good guy. We're going to raise the roof for Scott Lynch for jumping in the deep end and making it happen. Good guy.
And Paul, how can they reach out to the listeners? We want to reach out to support you in that.
Absolutely. So either via Meals on Wheels Australia's website or the state bodies, for example, Meals on Wheels New South Wales, Meals on Wheels Queensland. They've all of our websites have got information on how you can volunteer or how you can donate to Meals on Wheels services.
Yep. Paul, before we go too far, we really want to make sure that we cover the big issues that you mentioned in your post and we've reshared, because they are big issues about the government, what they're doing, the potential gaps that you're seeing, and you've got a whole industry body that are going to convene on these issues. So what are the big issues?
Look, the really big issue at the moment is the support at home program. We've got three different lenses on what's happening with support at home. The first is the lens of the government, or more specifically, the Department of Health, Disability and Ageing. They are busy patting themselves on the back because from their point of view, the support at home program is a success. It's doing what it's intended to do. It's achieving tighter consistency of outcomes from the assessment system, the now infamous assessment algorithm they're applying. They've got tighter financial controls around what providers can spend the money on and what older people themselves can do that. And, you know, they're absolutely looking to, you know, to say, well, you know, this is a wonderful success, this program, isn't it? The contrast with what older people's experience has been, the lived experience of far too many people, is they're being denied services they actually need. So they're falling at the assessment hurdle. In some cases, to the extent where they're being denied any service at all, and frequently assessed as needing a level of service which is patently inadequate. Secondly, they're then, when they do get allocated funding, it's coming through at 60% of the classification level of funding which they're actually assessed as needing. So, you know, we've got a situation where the needs that older people have are clearly not being met. When older people are in the support at home program, they find that the rules around what they can spend their money on are quite restrictive, more so than used to be the case under home care packages. And that is causing frustration. And the net effect of all this has been that older people who are struggling to get the level of services they require are saying this is putting extra burden on our families, on the people who care for me. And of course, it's also triggering more people to get admitted to hospital. So that's an issue which we've talked about on this All Things Aged Care before.
Yes, we have. At length. Yeah. A big issue, bed blockage.
It's only got worse over the period of time since the support at home program started. So that's the perspective of older people, a system which is buying us the services we need and is basically an abject failure. Then you've got the provider's perspective, of course, and the providers are saying, well, you know, this system, navigating this system is incredibly complex. You've got the interactions between the ongoing service delivery, the care management pool, the three short-term pathways, the assistive technology and home modification scheme, the end-of-life pathway, and the restorative care pathway. Working out how all of this fits together, how the providers can provide what people actually need out the other end is, you know, a major challenge for the providers. What we're also experiencing from the provider point of view is excessive administrative burden from the new system. The claiming process via Services Australia is proving extremely clunky, and I was speaking to a major provider in regional New South Wales who provides, a couple of thousand packages on across 2 states, and they were telling me that they've had to put 9 extra staff on in their finance just to manage the claiming process.
And that's not sustainable, that sort of overhead increase.
Of course it's not sustainable. And, that was a large provider's experience, but the same pressure is on the small providers, the family-owned businesses, the not-for-profits who are community-based. The system is designed to basically swamp people with extra paperwork. And the net result, of course, of all of this financially for providers remains pretty unclear at the moment. I'm hoping that Stuart Hutchin and Daryl Price, who are appearing at the Invox conference next week, will be able to provide us some more accurate information about this. But the anecdotal feedback I get is quite variable. Some providers are experiencing an uptick in revenue, presumably mainly due to the fact that the 83,000 additional packages have been made, gradually being made available. So there's that uptick in the overall revenue. But that is for those providers being basically capped in its effect by the fact they're only receiving 60% of the funds that the person's been assessed as needing. And then the other end of the experience that I've heard, again, of a large provider, where they are talking about losses of multi-millions of dollars since support commenced. So I don't think we will know what the true picture is for some time yet. I expect that IHACPA will pick up some information from its study, which it's just getting underway at the moment. But we're not going to see results from that at least until later this year, and possibly not until next year. I might note in passing that 2 previous studies that were done in home care packages have yet to be released by the government. They've been provided by IHACPA to the government, but they've never been released, which tells me that the information IHACPA was finding was somewhat inconvenient for government.
Interesting. Rob, I know you've got a lot of awareness of the big issue. Oh, sorry, Ant, is that you've got some questions, haven't you?
We have some. Kim Davis definitely has been quite vocal on this part. She's the support at home provider up in Townsville. But a couple questions she's had for you, Paul, is specifically wanted to ask you about, what you would recommend to those CHSP providers be doing now in preparation for, I believe she's went on to say, about support at home. And just extend.
So, look, my advice to CHSP providers is support the CHSP Alliance, which is saying keep CHSP. Don't roll it into the mess that is support at home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's my first message to CHSP providers. But the other thing, the government's policy at the moment is that transition into support at home will occur no earlier than the middle of 2027. Now, do I think that's likely to go ahead? No. I think it highly likely the government will at least defer that date further, but hopefully, following the advocacy of the CHSP Alliance, it will actually cancel its intention to merge CHSP with support at home. But providers do need to be looking out for what would we need to do to prepare if our funding is rolled into support at home's individual funding model. So it absolutely makes sense that providers do some, thinking about that, what it would mean if they were having to operate in that individual funding model, and the implications are obviously, given my comment just now about how support at home's going for the providers that are in it at the moment, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for CHSP providers if they did have to transfer in. But don't panic would be the other message to give to CHSP providers at this stage, because if in my view the likelihood of CHSP rolling into support at home anytime soon is low to next to zero.
Now, is this coming from? So we had Professor Kathleen Eager on about a month ago, and we did talk about some of the department team members. Now, Dr. Nicholas Hartman was one of the the architects of this, but he's since I think retired in the middle of it. Is a lot of this due to some of the changing of the guard, or is this something that's more systemic and just fundamentals that we need to go back to? How are you seeing?
I think there's a couple of factors. So how do we get where we are now? Well, there was no question that Michael Lai, Nick Hartland, Nick Morgan had all worked in the Department of Social Services and were before they moved to the Health Department, and worked on the design of the support at home program. They are not individually to blame for this outcome, but they're clearly key architects of the system as it's currently rolling out. The departmental people who are now in the positions, such as Greg Pugh, Julia Atkinson, Sonia Stewart, etc., are basically defending the settings, for example, of the assessment algorithm quite strongly. It's largely their representation, which I was reflecting in my opening remarks about what the government position is. So, they definitely view support at home as basically an overall success. They acknowledge there are teething problems and there will need to be some resetting that goes on, but I don't think they view the problems with support at home as true design faults, which absolutely how we perceive it.
And that's really interesting, because it's a very ambitious plan, and it's needed by the country to take relief off of the subacute sector, what was largely aging in place maybe 10 years ago or even 5 years ago, which is now being replaced by pretty full residential occupancy across the board, and certainly to allocate 1.3 million Australians to be able to age, in their homes, is really a great policy. But with any policy, there's always going to be those nuances when you get into the real hard crux of it. And I think the algorithm's been the one that's getting the most attention within the Senate and a lot of the debates at present. But but certainly I think is this typically following a course of new policy rollouts? You've been in the seat for long enough to see a lot of government policies being thrown at us.
Yeah, I've seen at least 5 residential care funding models over my 4 decades in the sector, and probably a similar number of efforts between the old HACK program and forerunners of home care packages, community aged care packages, extended aged care in the home. Then when they were brought together into home care packages, we then had the 2017 changes to allocate the packages from providers to the consumer. And obviously now the transition into the support at home program. So yeah, I've seen numerous changes. There are always teething issues with any funding system change. There does need to be an adjustment where those teething problems are identified, and most times governments do make changes. If you look at the public reaction this time around, particularly if you go on to the various Facebook groups around of older people and their reactions to particularly the support at home user charges, but also what the advocacy groups are saying, what Council on the Ageing and others is saying. There's pretty unanimous view that this isn't just teething issues. There's some systematic problems with the design of the support at home program, and any government that ignores front page stories on the Daily Telegraph has got problems writ large, and the Murdoch press, the ABC, Anne Connolly is doing further examination of this. She's planning a fourth episode later this year. The Guardian is running pretty heavily on this. It's absolutely attracting widespread attention, and that attention is not going away anytime soon. And if the CHSP Alliance has anything to do with it, won't be going away anytime soon either.
Because that was exactly where we were going with that. It was certainly is there anything different now, because we almost have a trifecta of that perfect storm, where if you look at the residential sector, I mean, we've had roughly 5 years of really inaction on a lot of the capital projects because of a lot of everything starting from COVID through to the reform changes, to a lot of uncertainty before you're going to commit hundreds and hundreds of millions to building more stock, and that's where those pressures come from. But it almost feels like there's a very different time, I guess, that we're going through these policy rollouts as well behind the scenes. Is that a fair assessment, or
I think that's quite a fair assessment. The interesting thing that my take on it would be that we've seen before changes which take time to roll out. You'll remember back in around 2014, 2015, the decision was taken to remove the ability of residential care providers to retain a portion of the RADs. So they actually became called RADs at that point, and rather than accommodation bonds. The government has now had to reverse course on that and reinstate an ability to retain a portion of the refundable accommodation deposits, because it was one of the factors, Rob, as you say, that was leading to this capital strike by aged care providers. So, there are consequences if you get the settings wrong, and governments might take a long time to realise it. In that case, it's a decade, but eventually they do have to respond. I think it will be very interesting to see whether there is any resetting of some of the tension points in support at home in the budget next month. For example, if the government were to change the allocation of personal care to the independence category and put it in clinical care, that would make a substantial difference to the costs that older people are experiencing when they're trying to use support at home. So, that has a budgetary impact for the government. So it would have to make that decision in the context of the federal budget. Now, the federal budget has some rather big other issues to deal with, such as an international crisis brought on by Donald Trump. And, exactly how much attention aged care will get in the budget is anybody's guess at this point.
It's actually a really good point too. Obviously, a key objective of the Support at Home conference is to have different experts that have, pretty informed views on things. Just to give people a snapshot, you've got the Support at Home conference next week. The eve is upon us, only a couple of nights away, sleeps away. Who are you excited about that you've sort of lined up there and the big issues they'll be covering?
Yeah. First up, Kevin McCreaden's going to be talking about
the latest. We know Kevin, friend of the show.
Indeed. The latest.
Raise the roof for Kevin. Yeah.
And he's, been both getting a sense from providers of how they're experiencing the Support at Home program, but also interviewing, I think it's over 10,000 older people about. Which
is a few.
Yeah. And picking up what they think about, a range of different pertinent questions around the aged care system more generally. So Kevin's, got the opening address. I'm up second after Kevin, where I'll be talking about those three different perspectives that I've just spoken about, and also talking about the case to retain CHSP separate from Support at Home. We're going to hear from Ian Yates, the former CEO of COTA and the former Inspector General of Aged Care, of what he sees as what's happened with Support at Home and how we might try and fix it. Also, I'm looking forward to the current Inspector General, who kicks off the second day of the conference, and Natalie Siegel-Brown will be talking about what her office is hearing directly from older people right around the country, the problems they are having with the participant contribution regime, with the assessment processes. So those same issues that I talked about will get Natalie's independent take on them. And then the rest of the program is going to be a jam-packed program with lots of practical sessions.
Fantastic.
What can providers actually do to cope with the current system to help participants in the Support at Home program navigate their way through to get the best services they can out of what is clearly a broken system?
Well, congratulations to you and Roland and Matt and team, Paul, on assembling such an amazing lineup of people. Where what we love about your culture and your vision is that you're making sure that people are practically equipped for the changes in the market. And we love that you're not just talkers, you're doers, and you're really quite obsessed around getting those practical changes and information out there that moves the needle and alleviates some of that pressure. So thank you for everything you're doing.
If anybody...
Yep.
If anybody hasn't joined Invox Quanta at this point,
yes, tell them.
really encourage you to do that. Quanda is a great platform, enables people to ask any questions about support at home or CHSP, and either I or my colleagues will answer your questions. We do so in a fairly timely fashion, unlike certain other.
Who will not be
joined
named
today, Paul. You'll see my my outreach today. I signed up, so well done.
Oh, I love it.
A lot of those questions. Great work. Much needed.
And it's really working quite well now as a peer-to-peer solution. So
Absolutely.
Can we put that up on the? We might put that up on the screen for those playing at home. The details of Quanda, because that's fantastic that you offer that avenue for people that have got those burning hot queries and questions. Just
a lot of great content in there, Owen. I was having a sticky beak across a lot of the actual statements and questions, and and some great responses. So definitely.
How do you spell Quanda? I'll put it up on the screen.
Just Q&A, Quanda.
There you go. It's that easy. So if you want
that's
to
it. That's it.
Challenge of typing that in.
Well, I do have some really positive news to share about initiatives we've been talking about with you and Sloan. But Chris Morales from the Whitting Group and his collaborative healthcare program. We've gotten the green light from both the Department of Health and New South Wales Health to run effectively Project OBI, which is the online bed inventory for the residential side of the equation to really open up more insights to these discharge planners. So at least the pilot will look at then developing further feature sets to enable those local health area districts and specific hospital systems to really engage with specifics that they don't have access to really explore and work together. So we'll have Chris on the show coming up, but he'll this is a world's first announcement. We'll more things happen in the media, but also we'll have Chris on that show, and love you to join in and weigh in on that conversation, because I think what you guys are certainly leading and provider-led initiatives are always some of the best ones from my experience, and so it's great to see the sector pull together and really support the wider healthcare system of Australia.
Yeah, I've got Paul Creed backstage. Paul, if you turn your camera on, I'll bring you on. If not,
and may I say, Paul Creed is a bit of a friend of mine. So I dared him to come on the show because he's passionate about all things legal and making a difference in people's lives through his passion for legal, and particularly in the area of equipping people in that stage of life of aged care and wanting to know their legal, obligations and opportunities. So I really wanted to have Paul on the show to talk about his.
Should I bring him on the show and you can coax him out of his shell, or should we be nice?
Yeah, I think we should. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Creed, come on down.
He's left the backstage. He's left.
There you go. He's playing hard to get.
There he is. You can talk us through this.
Yes, please, Paul. So talk us through Quanda and how it works while we're waiting for Paul, who will be here shortly.
It's quite simple to register. All you need is your email name and email address, and then you can. It's free, and we've had over 3,200 people register for Quanda, and that's going up every day, basically.
That is fantastic. So 3,200 register, and then what's the engagement sort of level that you're seeing there, Paul?
Well, there's some people who are on there pretty much every day, checking things, answering questions or asking questions. Other people might a bit like Rob was just talking about, check it out on an occasional basis. And it really doesn't matter as long as it's helping you to get your questions answered. How often you link into it. It's there. We originally set it up for an initial 2-month period straight after the Support at Home program launched in November, but it's been such a success that we've kept it going since.
Paul Creed is back.
Hey, there we go. He literally had a technical difficulty, which I've just heard about via text message. Paul, can you hear us? He's not far away. Apologies, everyone. Paul had an iPhone meltdown. The phone gave up on him, and he's had to resort to alternate comms measures. And so,
Team Pixel, Team Android.
And I believe he might have solved that problem. Have we got you, Paul?
Maybe in audio form.
Yep, there we go. There he is, Paul and his lovely wife, Louise, the dynamic duo of Creed Law. G'day, Paul. Can you hear us okay? We can see you, which is good. So we're halfway there. We've got vision. Now all we need is sound.
And as we wait for Paul, I guess, for Paul Sadler, we do have a question about
Yes.
from Kathy, that maybe you can speak to her point that she was under a different understanding, but maybe give context to that so people feel they can engage with it.
So yes, it's predominantly for people working in the aged care system. We aim the responses at that level, but I'm certainly aware that there are older people or their carers who have joined Quanda as well. We don't say to those people don't join, but the sorts of questions, as you would have seen, Rob, are quite technical that get asked at times, and the way we answer the questions is designed for providers rather than for older people themselves.
So there might be a gap in the market there. As we build our community of purpose, we probably need to think about that. Those that are in the sandwich generation and wanting to know how to look after their parents, and those that are coming across all of those new issues that come with entering aged and home care. But thank you for obviously the great work you and your team are doing there, Paul. And I think we might have Paul Creed.
Sorry, I just
can you hear us, Paul?
We are thinking about whether to offer a consumer Quanda, but there are lots of issues around handling something like that. And we haven't made it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. You can't just enter something like that. You need to go through the pros and cons and how to best achieve it. And Paul, is there anything we haven't covered while we're waiting for Paul Creed to join? Is there anything we haven't covered that you really wanted to cover?
The only thing I did want to mention is we've got the CHSP Alliance releasing on Monday 3 new position statements. So the first of those is a position statement outlining 15 reasons why CHSP should remain separate from the Support at Home program. The second of them is a paper looking at the whole question of integration and coordination, and how we envisage that might happen if you do retain CHSP and turn it into a primary aged care program. And the final paper is actually quite a technical paper looking at what changes might be needed to the Aged Care Act if we do decide to actually retain CHSP and make that transition to funding it as a primary care tier of the aged care system. So look out for those on Monday. While I'm busy getting on a plane to Melbourne, I'll be making sure to post some things on LinkedIn to let everybody know about the new position statements from the Alliance.
Well, there's a lot to cover there. Obviously, the 15 positions, which is great. So quite a compelling argument. And we'll be going through all of those at the upcoming conference. Is that right, Paul?
The focus of the conference is on the support at home program detail.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I will touch on the Alliance position and its work, but we won't go through the detail of what the Alliance is arguing. We've got an upcoming CHSP conference from Invox's point of view at the end of August. So that's where we'll focus in on all issues to do with it.
Well, we'll have to have you come back to talk more about that closer to the date to make sure that people are aware. We might have Paul. Is there any? We haven't got Paul back yet.
I think as Libby says, she's pro Samsung for life. Yeah, so maybe that's there she is.
Yes, Gotta love Libby. She's always there with a call, bit of entertainment value. Oh, and while we're on the subject of Libby, have you guys seen the new initiative, Heroes of Aged Care? So Libby's a part of a really impressive founding group, along with Julie from the Seniors Channel, Hogarth Williams from the Seniors Channel, and it's a brilliant initiative. So the Heroes of Aged Care, as we know, and as we said on Aged Care Employee Day, heroes in aged care wear name badges. And it is a brilliant initiative, and that's going to launch, I believe, in 2027. So we've got a year to build up to that, but it's really exciting. I was looking at the post on LinkedIn. I think you saw it, Ant, as well. But it was quite comprehensive in terms of recognising our heroes on the front line in aged care that really make a difference and really aren't being recognised in the current awards models. You know, the people that are doing the grunt work that are, here it is, recognising, if I may read that out, it's called Hearts and Heroes of Aged Care. And the founding people are Julie, as I've mentioned, Libby, but there's also Nicole Smith, CEO and founder of People First Nursing, Cheshwant Kaur, CEO and co-founder of GIA. They span clinical governance, innovation in psychosocial reablement, AI-enabled health technology and nursing leadership. And they want to recognise, which we love, Registered Nurse of the Year, Assistant in Nursing, Allied Health Professional, Emerging Leader, Pastoral Care, Administrative Excellence, Excellence in Lifestyle and Wellbeing, Catering, Environmental Services, Culturally Responsive. So Care Through Culture, I'm at the last one now, People First. So that's just brilliant. They're inviting expressions of interest around that. And so we'd love to have Libby. We know you're listening, but we'd love to have you and your whole founding team, Julie, Nicole, Teshwant, and come on the show and tell us all about your why. How did this happen? We know with all things aged care, it was beers on the pier, and it was just a moment of crystallization in a otherwise blurry, sometimes world. A moment of truth where beautiful things can be born. Just like I think Invox, well, you know what we haven't heard, Paul, is how did Invox come about? Was that a beers on the pier type experience with you and Roland and the team?
Roland actually approached me, we're going back to 2022 now, 2023. And his concept was to bring the model that he worked on for the previous decade in the disability field which is DSC, or Disability Services Consulting.
Hi, Julie.
He brought that in. He was looking to bring that into the aged care sector, and he rang me up because he and I used to work together in the aged care sector back in the day, and he was wanting to sound out where I thought the gap in the market would be for a DSC style model. And I very quickly identified that it was actually in this home care arena where there was a particular need. Generally speaking, the residential care area, in terms of events, there are plenty of events that focus on residential care. The peak bodies generally do a pretty good job around residential care. But there was less focus, not no focus, but less focus on the home care part of the market. So then from there, we've developed it up. Roland has this wonderful, irreverent tone to how he conducts business. If you've seen any of his pre-Christmas messages, they're...
No. Can you give us a sample, Paul? Give us one. The disclaimer in place, it's not you, it's Roland.
I'm not sure I can quote it quickly. Anthony, we publish them on the articles page on the Invox website. So whether you can look up the pre-Christmas message on the Invox website, just bring it up to the screen, that would be quite good.
Let's do it. It's Friday afternoon. Yeah. It's been a long week. We've got fuel crisis to worry about. We've got government not hearing us. We need a bit of entertainment value.
Well, yeah, and I know I'd love to also pick Paul's brain on some of the bed blockage papers he's also written, given some of that topical before we finish, but also to really set up for some future conversations on. I know that term we all hate, but I think we need a new naming convention as well for that. I know Kathy Eager.
We need to unlock the bed block, maybe, Rob.
Unlocking the bed block.
Where am I clicking, Paul?
The bed block.
On the articles up on the top right, Yep,
you were there. There we go.
And then the night before Christmas.
Oh, it was the night before Christmas. Here we go, Paul. You get to read it.
It was before Christmas, and all around Australia, folks were praying the scheme would not be a failure. The act is in place. The stage should be set. But Annika took off in a taxpayer jet. Who's in now? It's not really known. The lights are all on, but there's no one at home. They changed rules, but not fixed their game. Practice and policy aren't playing the same. Assessments were meant to be simple and fair, but they dropped in a system that just doesn't care. A single front door, the slogans did show. Instead, we got the computer that says no. While their tech spending could rebuild the Great Wall, the funding for providers, well, that's close to stuff all. And older Australians are starting to fret. They're paying in more and it's ending in debt. Then government did what governments do. They twisted no worse off till it barely rang true. Did you not know what we meant when we said what we said? You're not one of the sharpest tools in the shed. No worse off is a principle dear to our hearts. We'll explain it for you again, you slow-moving carts. Maybe tomorrow, today's got a day, we're busy finding new ways to make old people pay. With saving and wealth, with shares in a house and suspicious good health, the partners can pay too, the husbands and wives. We'll teach them for saving for all of their lives. And if reading this poem makes you feel a bit tense, we're sorry this system just doesn't make sense. We're just having fun, some rhymes, maybe riddles, while remembering life's not all beer and skittles. So here's to the workers who keep getting it done, to the managers, it all run. May your clients stay calm, may your invoices clear, and may it get a bit simple, well, maybe next year.
Love it. Love it. Raise the roof.
Hear his
with
voice
Mr. Rollins.
literally as you read that as well, Paul. Like that's,
Oh, you did that well, Paul.
That is great. That is great. Well, Paul, I've got a little bit of a rapid fire for you. Just a quick, short answer on some of the short ones. But yeah, just to evoke some of that responses around this. But the first one is the one policy change that would do more for older Australians than anything else the government is currently planning.
Scrap support at home and start all over again.
Love it. Okay. And
wow. Yes.
That's a nice, great, quick one. The most underappreciated person in aged care today. You can't say Anthony. His wife's pregnant, so needs some
the most underappreciated person who actually has been getting a lot of appreciation in the last couple of weeks is probably the volunteer at our Randwick Meals on Wheels service, who said to a couple of media outlets, including the New Idea magazine, that she was willing to go without meals herself to keep delivering the meals in spite of the higher fuel costs. So that person deserves an Order of Australia for that dedication.
Yeah, right. Okay, love that. There we go. We'll raise the roof, and Julie Hogarth Williams is tuning in. So I think we've got a Hearts and Heroes of Aged Care nominee right there.
There's one, yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. Live as we speak.
And Paul, your advice to a 25-year-old social worker starting on a hospital aged care assessment team tomorrow?
I was once in your shoes as a social worker in an aged care assessment team. It's a great career, would be my advice. There's lots of possibilities. Aged care is really interesting. It's kept me interested for the past 40 years, and it can be a really rewarding job.
Love that. I love that. And I've got two last ones for you, Paul. These are fantastic as you run through, but something you believed 20 years ago about aged care that you no longer believe. That's been 2005, doesn't feel? That feels
crazy. What? 2 decades, just like that.
I've been talking a bit with Kathy Eager about this, and I think many of us, go back to the work Ian Yates and I and many other people did on the National Aged Care Alliance. It wasn't full 20 years ago, but it was probably 15 years ago. We came out with a consensus position from NACA talking about how to reform the aged care system and putting emphasis on choice and control for older people. Now, I don't think any of us who were part of that would resile from the importance of choice and control for individual older people. But I think we got wrong the emphasis on that from the point of view of the design of the system. So in rethinking that in recent times around the role of CHSP in particular, Ian is a foundation member of the CHSP Alliance, just like I am, just like Kathy Eager is. And we've all reached the conclusion that community-based services have an important role to quality aged care outcomes for older people. And thinking that an individual funding model will solve all the world's problems we got that wrong back in the day via NACA, and I think many of us have had to rethink that in recent times.
I really appreciate the humility it takes to say that, Paul, as a founding member. You don't want to look back at those things, but it's important to obviously, stay accountable. So
I can see
you're going
Kathy
to
on
get
his
real
long
change.
beach walks and bowing, reflecting on that too, Owen, as we heard about that.
Yes.
Well,
speaking of keeping people accountable, we have a lawyer in the house who loves keeping people accountable. Paul Creed, you're a good friend and you're a good bloke and you're passionate about helping ageing Australians. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your next chapter and Creed Law and what you're looking to do to level the playing field?
Yeah, thanks, Owen. Look, I'm looking with my wife Louise. We're a team working.
Hello.
The lovely
Working
Louise.
towards basically confronting the financial the disadvantage that people entering retirement face with the choices that they're making in relation to accommodation, the financial exploitation that they suffer, which is one of the issues that Louise and I are very concerned about. When it comes down to entering facilities or aged care providers accommodation, that they're faced with punitive deductions on refundable deposits. In terms of the Commonwealth funding, they're often in a situation where they have to choose between services, having to forego important services in order to take up some of the ones that they really need. And these are the issues that Louise and I are grappling with. Apart from those concerning government funding and accommodation, also what we call elder financial abuse that can occur basically not just from other providers in the community at times, but also within their own families. So just basically empowering elderly people to know that they have rights and they can basically stand up for what they're really looking for in this last chapter of their life.
That's great.
And
we
you're
should have,
about to
connect you with Craig Greer, who is
Yes.
Certainly leads up a lot of that advocacy for the body that he represents in that front. But it's great to hear, and I've seen and witnessed that play out in facilities, and it is certainly I think it's more common than most people would be listening and thinking through. I would dare even say what percentage of probably residents in every home would have that happening to them every day. But that's great to hear those initiatives underway.
And I know you're taking that a step further, Paul. You're actually going to do a workshop in an aged care home just to sort of make sure that you're hearing where the real issues are and how you can help them. That's
exactly right. So Louise and I, we've been invited into a retirement village to basically give an open air workshop where we will be discussing issues such as independent legal review of contracts for aged care facilities. So quite often somebody will enter an aged care facility, they say, look, here's our contract, this is our buy-in for your accommodation. Please get independent legal advice about this. But quite often people do not get independent advice about it. The contracts can be punitive. They can be basically putting them at a big financial disadvantage. And apart from those issues, it's also to deal with their protection of their own estates through having proper wills in place, powers of attorney, enduring guardianships. We're making sure that these instruments are with trusted family members or friends who are protecting their interests and basically putting them in a position where they can defend their financial position.
Mm. And that is, don't get me started on resident agreements. It depends even which one you follow, but why can't we just have one from the government to just say this is the resident agreement to be used by all, as opposed to having the Russell Kennedy, the James Underwoods, there's so many different variations of it, which I would can imagine for families it would be a minefield to have to start and shop around and have multiple contracts. Whereas even when we buy a house, we only have one state basically a contract for that. But Paul, how do then organizations get in touch with you? Because this is a fantastic initiative, and I know a lot would jump on that.
we're basically going on a roadshow. We're visiting various different facilities. We're approaching R-Care, Uniting Care, Anglican retirement villages, 7-day Adventist retirement villages, basically to provide a service to the residents. So it will be done through open workshop sessions with a view to having basically walk-in advice centres on the basically the community areas of those facilities where residents can walk in, seek advice and receive help. So we're planning to conduct those regularly every 2 or 3 weeks or so. And that way we can basically meet people where they are. Residents often find it difficult to get out, but our plan is to meet them where they are.
So Ant's just put up a URL. So Paul's moved on from Slater Gordon. That is shortly, and I think that can be publicly announced.
That's right.
But it is Creed Law, www, if you can change that, Ant, to www.creedlaw.com.au. Is that right, Paul?
That's correct. That's the
Paul
URL
Creed.
for the website, which will be launched shortly. So please don't jump on right away. We will be putting that up very soon. But for inquiries, my email is paul@creedlaw.com.au. And welcome any inquiries that you may have or calls for assistance. So we're on a mission really to help people that are in need and who are, we believe, the system is geared against them. There are plenty of aged care residents who are used as financial punching bags, and we're just trying to reverse that and re-empower them with their rights and recourse to legal process if necessary.
Well, Paul, you've got a lot more to say, and obviously sorry that we had technical difficulties earlier. We are closely on time now. We try and keep to an hour where we can, but we have so much fun. Sometimes it just keeps rolling. But I think it'd be by unanimous vote that we'd love to have you back again, just to talk through some of the big issues that you're encountering, what you're seeing in the walk-ins, because the mission of All Things Aged Care is we're building a community of purpose where people can ask their questions, where they can have a voice and be heard. So, and I'm sure maybe there's something there in terms of Paul Sadler will have some suggestions as well, knowing what you're trying to do. And so we'd welcome the opportunity to have you come back and give us a bit more feedback on what you encounter out there with the different aged care facilities. And obviously, Paul, for those who have just tuned in, we've got the Invox Support at Home National Conference. It's the first one, is that right? The inaugural?
No. We've run it for a couple of years now. It's not too late to register. Online registration is possible, and in person in Melbourne on Tuesday and Wednesday next week.
So can't wait for that. It's an amazing lineup. And just quickly, the names of the people attending that you've lined up, it's quite a lineup.
Yeah, you can expect to hear Kevin McCreaton, myself, Ian Yates, Natalie Seagull-Brown, amongst many others.
Fantastic. Stay tuned. And also, I think we might be treated to the poetic talents of Roland. Who doesn't love a good Roland poem? I think we're going to have Roland on the show. Well, that's it. We're building a community of purpose here. Your voice matters. We want you to be heard. And as we say on our show, all for one and one for all things aged care.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Raise the roof for all those heroes in aged care.